The bloody reign of Mary Tudor, Queen of Fire and Fear. They say the smoke never cleared, that the stench of burning flesh haunted the streets of London for years. She was a queen forged in fire, and she ruled in it. In just 5 years, she burned nearly 300 people alive, ordinary men and women for believing the wrong thing. She lit pyres with heretics, traitors, and ghosts. And when she died, even her own kingdom breathed relief. Chapter 1. Born in a Storm. Born on February 18, 1516, Mary Tudor entered the world already a disappointment. Her father, Henry VIII, wanted a son. He got a girl. Mary was brilliant. She spoke Latin, French, Spanish. She could debate theology before she was 12, but none of it mattered, because to her father, she was useless. From princess to bastard, overnight, she was banished from court, forbidden to see her mother, forced to sign documents admitting she was never a true heir, forced to call Anne Boleyn queen, forced to deny her mother and God. She refused, and for that, she was watched, controlled, left alone for years in cold castles with only her faith and her hatred. Chapter 2. The usurper dies, the bloodline strikes back. When Henry VIII died in 1547, the crown passed to Mary's half-brother, Edward VI, a Protestant boy king just 9 years old, and behind him, a court full of men who loathed Mary's Catholic blood. Edward reigned for 6 sickly years, and before he died, he signed away Mary's birthright, his replacement, a Protestant puppet queen, a girl with no claim but powerful friends, Lady Jane Grey. Jane was 16. She never wanted the throne, but they gave it to her anyway. For 9 days, she wore the crown. Mary Tudor didn't write angry letters. She marched with nobles, soldiers, and peasants who still believed in the old religion. London turned on Jane Grey overnight. Mary entered the capital as a queen and as an omen. She had waited 20 years for this, and now the daughter of Catherine of Aragon was Queen of England. Lady Jane was locked in the Tower. Mary promised mercy, but mercy has a short shelf life when fear takes root. A Protestant uprising threatened Mary's rule, and Jane became a liability, so after just 6 months in a cell, they brought her to the scaffold. Jane Grey's head fell in silence, 16 years old. A queen for 9 days, a symbol turned to ash. Mary Tudor was crowned in 1553, but she wasn't the same girl who once cried in cold castles. She was harder now, silent, and beneath the crown, something had begun to burn. Chapter 3. The burnings begin. At first it was quiet. Mary promised peace. She freed Catholic prisoners, reinstated Mass. People whispered maybe she would rule with grace. But Mary Tudor hadn't waited 20 years for forgiveness. She wanted correction. She wanted repentance. She wanted revenge. She reversed every Protestant reform. Bibles burned, priests arrested, churches stripped of their English sermons and filled again with incense, Latin, and blood. And then she brought back the burnings. The first to die was John Rogers, a father of 10. His crime, printing the Bible in English. They chained him to a post, piled wood at his feet, and they lit it beneath his own children's cries. He burned slowly, begging the crowd to stay faithful. Mary didn't flinch. She ordered more. Over the next 3 years, nearly 300 people would die by flame. Old women, scholars, bakers, ministers, teenagers. Some were burned 2 or 3 at a time, publicly, in town squares, as if their screams could purify the air. She believed it was mercy, cleansing souls before death, a divine punishment ordered by God and carried out through her royal hands. But the people began to fear her, the smell, the spectacle, the constant black smoke over English skies. They gave her a name, one she never lived to hear, Bloody Mary. She executed bishops, burned mothers, roasted Protestants alive while choirs sang hymns, Then came the highest prize. Thomas Cranmer, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, architect of her father's break with Rome. He recanted, swore loyalty to the Pope. Mary agreed to spare him, but at the last moment, she changed her mind. They burned him anyway, and in the flames, he screamed that his hand, the one that signed the lie, should burn first. And it did. The city was a graveyard of smoke and ash, no longer just ruled by a queen, but by flame. And while the fires burned, Mary prayed harder, believing every scream was proof of England's return to grace. Chapter 4: Madness, Ghosts, and Childless Doom. By 1554, Mary Tudor was drenched in smoke and screams. But it wasn't enough. She wanted something more than revenge. She wanted a child. She was nearly 40, but she still believed. And when her stomach began to swell, she announced it to the world. The Queen was pregnant. England rejoiced. Heresy had been burned out. Now the Tudor line would bloom again, in Catholic glory. The palace was prepared, a cradle carved, midwives assembled, names chosen. The bump grew, her moods shifted, the baby kicked. Except it didn't. Month after month passed, but there were no cries, no contractions, no birth. Then the swelling vanished. Her stomach flattened, her womb emptied, but not with blood, with nothing. There was no child, no heir, no legacy. What followed was a silence more deafening than the screams she'd ordered. Her court grew cold, her husband grew distant. Philip had married Mary for power, not love. When the phantom pregnancy was exposed, he left, returned to Spain, and barely wrote. Mary wrote again and again, pleaded, prayed. But he did not come back, and her heart began to rot. Some say she began to hear the voices of those she'd burned, that she walked the palace at night, whispering to the dead. Her skin grew pale, her teeth yellowed. She wept during Mass and screamed in her sleep. Her womb swelled again. A second pregnancy, but this too was empty. A ghost child. By now, her people had turned. The joy of her early rule had withered. Trade collapsed. Crops failed. London was filled not with hymns, but coughing, rats, hunger, and ashes. Mary Tudor, Queen of England, was dying from the inside out. There would be no child, no future, no forgiveness. She spent her last months barely able to walk, coughing blood, teeth rotting from the gums. Some said it was cancer, others, the weight of 300 souls burning in her blood. Chapter 5: The Horrible Death of Bloody Mary. November 1558. Mary Tudor lay in her bed, alone, abandoned by her husband, feared by her people, her body failing. She could no longer eat. Her skin turned grey, her eyes sunken. Her gums oozed, her voice cracked. She vomited bile and blood. Her belly swelled, not with child, but with infection. Her ladies-in-waiting reported screaming fits, delirium. She wept for her mother, whispered to the child she never had, and begged the Virgin Mary to spare her soul. Her lungs filled with fluid. Her breath slowed to shallow gasps. And just before dawn on November 17th, Bloody Mary died at age 42. Her death was not met with mourning, no citywide weeping, no solemn candlelight vigils. There was relief, and in some streets there was celebration. The woman who had burned England's soul was gone, but the smoke remained. She came to cleanse a kingdom. She left it scarred and afraid of fire. Chapter 6: Legacy of Blood and Smoke. Mary Tudor was buried beneath Westminster Abbey, a modest tomb, cold, forgotten. Her body wrapped in cloth placed in stone. No golden coffin, no grand epitaph, just silence. Her funeral was sparsely attended. There were no monuments raised, no cities renamed, no poems written in sorrow. The fires she lit smoldered longer than her crown. Entire villages remembered the smell of burning flesh, better than her face. Her half-sister Elizabeth became queen, and almost immediately, the burning stopped, the altars were stripped again, the Latin was silenced, and Mary's memory was buried. Elizabeth never spoke of her sister, but she made one final gesture. She had Mary's tomb carved with a shared epitaph, their names placed together, but only Elizabeth wore glory. Today we remember her not for her prayers, not for her crown, but for the pyres, for the screams, for the shadows she left behind. They still call her name Bloody Mary, whisper it 3 times in the mirror, and some say she answers.